Do you have access to any weapons?
I brought a firearm with me. There's pepper spray, there is a knife.
Are you on foot? You're in a car?
I'm just standing in front of the house.
What were you coming to do? Just to hurt him?
Correct.
Lesbian, gay, and bisexual people have the right to our own organizations. Whoa! That's transphobic. That's pretty bigoted, isn't it? We're breaking free because homosexuals and bisexuals have different opinions, and LGBTQI is just a bundle of opinions. Interesting. They're not the same. People are different. Weird. 30 years in prison. That's what Pam Bondi wants for this guy who thinks he's not a guy anymore. This was Nicholas Orosky some time ago in a firearms gun store, it looks like, and he is, I think, looking at ammunition and other things, maybe buying a gun. Now, what was going to be happening after this is he went over to the Supreme Court Justice's Brett Kavanaugh's home and was planning to assassinate him. And he called the police, and they actually came and picked him up before he was going to do that. But he was still charged with crimes, and now Pam Bondi is telling us that he thinks he's a woman, and she's asking for 30 years in jail, not because of that, prison. Today, my prosecutors requested a sentence of 30 years for the man who attempted to kill Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh in 2022. They've been doing this assassination stuff for a long time, and it's just been percolating in the gutters. This Department of Justice condemns political violence, and our prosecutors will ensure that this deeply disturbed individual, who is now pretending to be a woman, Pam says, faces severe consequences for his deranged actions. And so 30 years is a long time. And you recall that this was the 911 tape of the guy who was outside Kavanaugh's house. And I will say, man, credit to him for pulling the plug on this before he crossed the line and actually shot somebody in the throat. But still can't do it, can't plot an assassination, can't get close to it, can't take steps in furtherance of the conspiracy. And so he's been charged accordingly. But he called the police, something happened. I don't know if it was divine intervention or what, but here's how this 911 call sounded.
Montgomery County 911. Are you thinking of hurting anyone, including yourself?
Brett Kavanaugh, the Supreme Court Justice.
Do you have access to any weapons?
I brought a firearm with me. There's pepper spray, there is a knife.
Are you on foot? You're in a car?
I'm just standing in front of the house.
What were you coming to do? Just to hurt him?
Correct.
This assassination attempt on a Supreme Court justice should have been a tipping point for Democrats. How far does it have to go before Democrats stop endangering justices?
Or conservative influencers and activists like Charlie Kirk. This is an old video from 2022. That was the 911 call. Fortunately, the cops came and got the dude. But now Pam Bondi is saying, we want 30 years. So it's nice that you stopped and you didn't actually take another action in furtherance of it, but it's still a crime. And there's a lot of bad evidence for this dude who thinks he's a woman now. Says, here are just some of the things that he was talking about in 2022. And a lot of this was happening on Discord, where these transgender people who are mentally sick escalate into assassins. How is that happening repeatedly? Here's more evidence that it happened in 2022. What do you think would happen if this justice died, Kavanaugh? He said, May 18th. Also, the right have a 5-4 majority, so if one conservative justice dies, then it becomes 5-4 for the left. He searched on Google, countries least likely to extradite to the US. Yeah, but I could get at least one, which would change the votes for decades to come. And he is shooting for 3. Wants to go take out 3 conservative justices. Talking about it. May 27th. Yeah, people have killed judges before. Yep. And how much force do you need to stab someone's neck is what he searched for. Most effective way to silently kill someone, says this dude. Google search, insanity defense. Not going to apply to that. Does twisting or dragging a knife cause more damage? And more. Well, all of that now captured and made a part of the record. In the spring of 2022, Bondi's office says, this dude meticulously researched, planned, and attempted to assassinate, and had stated he targeted 3 sitting Supreme Court judges. He explained he wanted to alter the constitutional order, and his own words say that he was shooting for 3 people. He attempted to fly from LA to Washington, Dulles, but he arrived at the airport too late to check a bag that had a knife, a gun, ammunition, a lockpick set, and other equipment. So he still wanted to go out. He made a flight the next day. He couldn't even make it to the airport on time. On June 8th, he then arrived at Washington, Dulles, took a taxi to the personal residence of the Supreme Court judge. He had packed and brought a suitcase containing a purchased Glock 17, maybe he got at the store, 2 loaded magazines, additional ammunition, a chest rig, harness used to carry the tactical gear, a knife, lockpicks, hammer, screwdriver, nail punch, crowbar, duct tape, hiking boots with padded affixed to the bottom of the soles so you can't trace the pattern, and pepper spray. Now, 2 deputy U.S. Marshals who were guarding Kavanaugh's residence saw the taxi arrive and stop in the street. They watched him get out and get a suitcase. One of the marshals postured to be able to get out of her car, cracking open her door and illuminating the interior of her vehicle. Upon seeing law enforcement, this dude then decided to walk past the front of the house and directly past the marshal. In his own words, he said, "I noticed immediately that there were people sitting outside. It was like a very empty neighborhood, so I was like, oh, they're keeping a lookout." It was only after this point, after observing a visible law enforcement presence, that he walked past Brett's home, received a phone call from his sister, and then after speaking for 20 minutes, called 911. Damn, thank you, sister. Wow. Called, "Hey, what are you doing? Don't do this." Okay. Dude calls 911. Amazing. Defendant's criminal conduct, attempted assassination, required extensive premeditation, research plan, procured tools. He wanted to kill the judges. And so now we want no more than 30 years to life in prison. We're not seeking any restitution. We know the facts and we've made our briefings known. Now, while the events transpired in the middle of the night, it was about only 9 hours of time. He was planning this for 3 months. So yeah, it was a small little situation, but he'd been thinking about this. He was posting on Reddit, which person's death would have the biggest impact in the world. He also looked for this for months. Quietest semi-auto rifle, gun calibers, best silencers for the Glock, homemade silencers. How far are 9mm accurate? Dude, it's just dropping like a laundry list of indictable search terms. Not good. In addition to extensive research on guns, he repeatedly searched for Supreme Court justices, searching 27 times for home addresses. He searched for marked locations on Google Maps. Has a Supreme Court judge ever been assassinated? What do you think would happen if this person died? He wants to remove some people from the Supreme Court and wants to get away with murder. Which serial killer was the most careful? Writing a killer is obsessed with not leaving evidence. What methods could they use? Is he using AI too? I wonder if he was using any ChatGPT. This was back in 2022. Lots of searches. Countries that don't extradite to the United States. What is the insanity defense? What happens if you're suicidal in prison? He visited over 30 websites showing the head and neck anatomy and graphics depicting knives in the neck. How to wipe windows down. And then he said he showed up, man, and he saw the cops. 10 minutes later, sister called. They spoke for 20 minutes. Then at 1:39 a.m., he called 911. Then officers are alerted, urgent call for service. Get over there. Once on the scene, they quickly located, detained this dude named Roski. The officers also worked quickly to locate the bag with all the materials in it. They found everything we've talked about. Here's what a lot of it looked like. So there's the Glock, there's the chest rig, some tools. Then they say, well, at the scene, a show up is conducted. Deputy Marshal says, yeah, I saw that dude coming out of the home. He was calm, responsive, not verbally or physically agitated, probably relieved. Roski appeared to be resting on multiple occasions while at the scene, and he looks like he was maybe sleeping. When an officer approached the holding cell, he appeared to be resting or sleeping. So he's just, chilled, not like manic, not pacing around, not freaked, just kind of calm and resting. At the station, upon learning that Roski had a physical condition, he takes medication every 12 hours, they diligently asked for medical personnel to come help. EMTs examined Roski and assessed that all of his vital signs look stable. Said, have you been taking your meds? He says, yes. Okay. Now, in the meantime, detective had provided him Miranda warnings. He unequivocally understood and waived them. He said he admitted everything. Yeah, I've done research. I purchased a gun. I said I had the intention of using it to kill Brett. Admits everything. Roski stated that the leaked Supreme Court draft made me upset and that motivated him. And he also heard that he was thinking about loosening gun restrictions. He said that after I got dropped off by the taxi, I noticed immediately there were people outside. So I went around the house on the other side, talked to my sister. Well, why are you conducting research for a month? He says, well, it's kind of like for a project. What were you going to do with the duct tape? I was going to cover windows after I break them. What about the zip ties? Well, those were in case I wanted to restrain someone. Guy says, okay, well, thanks for that amazing interview and all the evidence. And he also confirmed he had been taking meds prescribed by a doctor and he had taken them that day. Okay, so he's like not actually crazy. He's been on his meds according to a doctor's prescription. Later that day, he was interviewed by the FBI. They gave him Miranda. Again, he waived them all, said everything. He's conversational and responsive. He also revealed he did a data wipe of his laptop. And when asked for consent to search a computer, he was silent for 30 seconds. Why are you asking? He said. Well, we just want to make sure that, again, nobody else is planning anything that's dangerous. And he stayed silent again for 30 minutes. He said, let's change gears. We'll come back to that. Then after a free flow conversation, so can you let us look at the computer? Again, 35 seconds of silence. And he reiterated the focus was to vet out other threats. Then he said, sorry, I have done a data wipe. So it's all gone. So he deserves terrorism enhancements. And so all the sentencing factors say this dude should get 30 years. And they made a bunch of attachments to it. And you can see some of those. They say He described growing up with a normal childhood, but we need to have a serious penalty because you can't plan to assassinate Supreme Court justices. We need a strong deterrence to criminal conduct, and the sentence is appropriate related to other cases. The government understands there are mandatory provisions for sentencing, and here's the conclusion. He wanted to kill at least one Supreme Court justice, but was really shooting for 3. He wanted to flee the country to a non-extradition country. While he does have mental health issues, those don't detract from the gravity of the crime. We'll see what the judge says about that. He might say it's a mitigating factor, and he was accommodating, and he was cooperative. Says the crime is one in a long line of escalation of threats, but the plotting of shooting and killing 3 justices cannot be tolerated. And so we're asking for no fewer than 30 years in prison, signed by Thomas M. Sullivan. And this dude apparently is now saying he's trans. So they've got all of the text messages. Here's more photos of the items that he brought with him. Lockpick kit. Yeah, man, this dude's got a lot of gear. He's really planning on it. Record of sale of the firearm from inside the store. More attachments. Looks like some logs of different items. More text messages, screenshots, and a lot of other things. So this guy now apparently thinks he's Sophie or something like that. And you can see this is where he was buying all the gear. They've got cameras. He went to the shooting range, it looks like. And now he's going as Sophie. Username. Sorry about DMing, but I don't want to get in trouble for talking about politics. The thought of Roe versus Wade and gay marriage both being repealed has me furious. Said my mental health is too poor for me to fear death, but prison sounds worse, to be monitored to the point where you can't even kill yourself. So if I did kill someone, I would definitely try to get away with it. Yeah. And there's more messages from Sophie because it's a trans situation. So that all happened. And what's interesting about this is Megyn Kelly just posted this too. We see this pattern of trans violence, people shooting and killing Charlie Kirk, trans plotting to kill Supreme Court justices, trans shooting up young children at Catholic schools. The list goes on and on. But Megyn Kelly says the LGs and the Bs are breaking up with the Ts and the Qs. They've had enough of it. So LGB International came out and they said, we're just tired of the Ts, man. We're tired of the Ts. And, you know, you can understand that because I remember when I was coming up, like, Rob, just accept gay marriage, okay? Don't be such a homophobe. It's just going to be like 2 dudes getting married. You're not even going to know anything about it. Like, the most, like, interesting thing you'll see is them, like, hiking around together, holding hands once or something. Like, that's all. They'll get married, mind your business. Then we fast forward, like, 20 years, like, the whole side of this conversation has been like, now we have to chop your son's genitals right off his body because otherwise he'll kill himself. And if you disagree, then you're a homophobe or you're a transphobe now. It's like, what the hell happened here? That shifted pretty quickly from what you said it was going to be to what it is. And now they're sick of it, man. They're tired of it. And can't believe it's taken this long and multiple, you know, assassinations and assassination attempts. Lesbian, gay, and bisexual people have the right to our own organizations. Whoa, that's transphobic. That's pretty bigoted, isn't it? This person says, we're declaring LGB independence. It's okay for boys to like dolls and girls to hate dresses. We're declaring our independence because we are tired of people who aren't lesbian, gay, or bi speaking for us in our name, talking about the T's. We're breaking free because homosexuals and bisexuals have different opinions and LGBTQI is just a bundle of opinions. Interesting. They're not the same. People are different. Weird. Here, a bundle of opinions. We're declaring LGB independence because we've lost, this guy's from Taiwan, our lesbian and gay spaces because all the T's are coming in. Man, this is interesting, isn't it? So he continues from Bulgaria. We're declaring LGBT independence everywhere because same-sex relationships need legal status everywhere. What about the T's? So, man, the T's must be fuming about this. How mad are they? Probably arming up, loading their weapons right now. So this lady's from Spain. Lesbian spaces now welcome men. And so we're declaring LGB independence because gay rights are not against women's rights. We don't want to break down gender norms. We want to break down gender norms, not our bodies. Well, that's kind of what the T's are, man. They're breaking down the gender norms. You know, come on. You can try to separate yourself from all of this, but we'll see if it works. I think that this is going to cause fissure and a fracture. But the T's, man, and a lot of the L's, a lot of the G's, a lot of the B's love the T's. Are they going to just cut them off the flag right now? Isn't that xenophobia or whatever they say we all are guilty of? So that's interesting to see that even the L's, the G's, and the B's are tired of the T's. The T's are not going to be happy with the L's and the G's. And meanwhile, we're just going to continue to focus on America and not spend time obsessed with their sexual distinctions.